Okay, we're here with our third episode of Wine Chat. I'm here with Heidi and a special guest. Heidi, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. So we're going to talk about demystifying Italian wines today.
Absolutely.
And you have a special guest, right?
Yes, I do. This is Ned from Vinity Wine Company, and he's my resident
Ned,
Italian expert. And he even sometimes speaks Italian, so he knows his stuff. He's got a great book, and so I chose some of the wines out of his book, and we will be featuring them very soon at the wine shop. But not so much wanting to talk about that as much as we're wanting to talk about how some people are very uncomfortable with a lot of European wines because they're more regional, and so sometimes it's very confusing. They don't know what grape it is, they don't know if they're going to like it, so they just decide that they're not going to try it. And of course my job here at the wine shop is to get people to try new things, and I give them permission to like something. So when I feature something that's unusual and different, I encourage people to come in and try something new, and we've got Ned here to answer some of our questions and kind of inform you. So when you come in here and do the tasting, you're going to feel a little more comfortable. What's the first thing that we need to know about Italian wines?
That you shouldn't be afraid of them.
Yes.
That Italian wines are, first of all, it's the most diverse area in the world. Diverse single country, just in terms of the different regions having their own style of cooking, and they have their own grapes very often, and there's a lot of information there that you don't really need to know.
So you go to your favorite winemonger, and hopefully she's picked out some great wines for you to try.
Exactly.
And then you're brave enough to try the tasting, and then you buy what you like.
Right. What I always tell people to develop a good relationship with your local wine shop and ask questions and get to know them, and they'll get to know you and get to know your taste. Now, Italian wines it's still grape juice in a bottle, no matter where it comes from, whether it's Croatia, France, Napa, Arizona, Virginia. I've tasted wines from all these places, you know, and they all have their own particular characteristics. If you know the history of Italy, it didn't even come together into a country until like the late 19th century, or mid to the late 19th century. And if you look at a map, topographical map, you'll see there's mountains throughout Italy, and this creates a lot of microclimates. And it also creates separation historically from these different regions. And as I said, they develop different cuisines, and they also develop different wine styles.
I wanted to talk specifically about the Soave. When I sat down and I tasted wine with Ned, I was not the least bit interested in trying a Soave, because I remember kind of the bad rap that Soaves got in the 1970s, 1980s. They weren't known for producing really high quality grapes. Part of the reason was they weren't trellising the grapes, that they were using pergolas, and so you were getting a lower quality grape, and they also used to be more about quantity rather than quality. And now when I tasted this was one of my favorite of the bunch, perfect for summertime and warm weather, just nice, light, refreshing, much like a Sauvignon Blanc would be, but I think a little bit more acidity. And you can talk to this a little bit more.
Yeah, one of the things I love about this wine is and I've heard somebody say it who's not a wine expert, they say it doesn't interfere with the flavor of the food. And that is something that I like in general about Italian wines, is they don't overwhelm the food. They leave a little space on your palate for the food itself. Soave was introduced to the country en masse in the 70s, I guess, by Bola, and they did very poor versions of it. As a kid, I used to read cereal boxes.
Okay.
And I grew up, I started reading wine labels.
Okay.
And there's a lot of information on a wine label from Italy, and not just the label. There's the front label, there's the back label, and sometimes they have things at the top, such as this has a little information here saying that it's organic. In Italian, the word for organic is biologico, and that's BIO there. That's one of the certifying organizations in Europe. There's the European seal. In any case, they don't all have that, but there's a lot of information on the front and the back, including the denomination or appellation. The Italians say DOC, Denominazione di Origine Controllata. In this case, it's a Soave. It comes from the town of Suave up in the north. What this particular wine doesn't tell you is the grape. And it's a grape that does not appear in the United States. It isn't grown in the United States. Called Garganega. This wine, the next one, it tells you the name of the producer, the name of the wine. This is the producer, this is the name of the wine. It doesn't tell you on the back. It tells you where it's from. It does have an indication saying rosé wine and indicazione geografica tipica. They have different categories of naming wines in Italy. DOC, DOCG, IGT, and none of the above. And you have good wines from all regions. You also have bad wines from all those things. So, you know, that's where the wine monger comes in, where you come in.
And I always say that there's good wines made in bad years, there's bad wines made in good years. So the same thing goes with regions, that there's regions that have an elevated classification that sometimes don't always produce the best wines, and you've got some with a lower classification that produce better wines. And part of my understanding of DOC, DOCG is that a lot of people have they've opted out of the DOCG for the DOC because they've got a little more play with the grapes that could go into the bottle, or what they're blending with.
Yeah, that can happen. That can happen with Prosecco, for example, where I think in the DOC you're actually allowed to carbonate it. You don't have to go through a double fermentation. So, Suave is made with 100%, as I said before, made with Garganega. That's the name of the grape. There are some Suaves that are where they put a little Chardonnay or a little Trebbiano in it. But what you have to know about Suave, it's a light wine. It's only, what is this, 12% alcohol. No oak, it's an all-steel wine. And it's the Venetians drink this early in a summer evening. And sometimes they just continue drinking it throughout the night because it's so delicious, it goes so well with things. You tend to eat, you know, Italy isn't as air-conditioned as the United States, so people tend to stay with lighter foods in the summer throughout the evening, so the Suave just becomes the nectar of the evening, you know? I mean, it's, the town is Suave, and it comes from around that area there, and I was saying, ironically, Suave means suave, you know? So, and that's not a bad thing to have a wine known for.